Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's Ronco Johnson. This is When the Lights Go Out. Are you ready? Good to see you. It's Lifestyle Focus Friday. And guess what? Today's episode is going to be a powerful one, everybody. I can't wait to dig in on this topic. We're going to be unpacking the subtle transformation differences between the power of believing and knowing, and understanding the true purpose of life insurance. Because the truth is, most people believe life insurance is just a safety net, if you will. But when you know it's a strategic power that the wealthy use when it comes to understanding how it can fuel your legacy planning, fund your retirement, tax-free that is, and even serve as your family bank, you can't stop but see that it's not a cost and start using it as a tool. And it's time to get beyond that surface level understanding and lean into financial intelligence. That's right. It's not a theory. This is a conversation of empowerment. So grab your pen, keep your mind open, and meet me on the inside as we talk about today's topic in understanding the power of believing versus knowing. I'll see you on the inside. Hey everybody, it's Ronco Johnson. When the lights go out, are you ready? It's Lifestyle Focus Friday. Good to see you. Good to see you. And thank you for joining us today. How's everybody doing on this wonderful, wonderful Friday? We got an opportunity to just be a part of the world once again. Hey, listen, today we got a wonderful conversation. I think it's going to empower you in multiple ways because we're talking about holistic principles, and then we're also talking about the tangible uses of life insurance. You know, I was having a conversation just the other day, and we were talking about believing versus knowing. And a lot of times when we have discussions, people have conversations about things they believe, and it can be in any conversation. You know, being a former athlete and being around professionals and being in the entertainment industry, it's always interesting to hear other people's perspective who are not pro athletes, who are not in the industry, and then on top of it have never ever had any way of knowing what it's really all about or why people move the way they move. Well, if we take that into finance, most people are not millionaires. Most people don't even know one. However, they tend to believe that they move in a certain way, not understanding the reason why they move the way that they do is because they know why they're making the move. And today we're going to talk about how they use life insurance in the knowing versus the believing. If that makes sense to you, drop us a line in the comments down below. I want to give everybody time to step in and say hello. And good to see all my family and friends out there today. Hey, good afternoon, Leela. Good afternoon, Sam. I see you, brother. Hey, Miss Henderson, what's going on? It's good to see all of you guys. Hey, listen, it was fun to have you in Atlanta for our mastermind last week. I tell you, we had a great time. It's just a small gathering of folks that were strategic in their reason and their purpose. And I want to thank you guys for just coming down and just being a part of it. We had some good food. We had great conversations. And hopefully we built some lasting relationships that will go well beyond just that one interaction, right? So I just want to say a shout out to everybody that came through. And hopefully you, if you're watching, can catch our next one and be a part of the conversation because everything we need is definitely in the room. And that being said, I want to make sure I invite everybody and thank everybody for coming and being a part of our podcast today. And also, if you haven't thought about it, consider being a part of our Lifestyle Focused Wealth community. Why? Because there's people taking advantage of what millionaires and billionaires do. And we're talking about it in your everyday life. And guess what? We're not talking about what we believe. These people are talking about what they know. They're talking about the differences between what someone else has told them and what is really going on. I just want to pose a question to you. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I'm talking to other professionals and they have a belief of what they think insurance is all about. And it's interesting. They're professionals, maybe a lawyer, maybe an accountant, and they will give their belief. If you knew it was a belief versus their knowing, would you listen to them? I mean, I would have a hard time listening to someone that only had a belief when I absolutely knew from experience. Tell me in the chat real quick, put a thumbs up if that's a conversation you think you want to be a part of today. I hope that you can be a part of that, because it resonates over multiple things. It isn't just a conversation about insurance. It's even a conversation about race relations. A lot of times people, we go by what we see on the surface. In other words, my skin tone may be different than yours. But if you're a human man, are we really the same? The answer is we're the same. We're actually the same. But the humanity part, it comes in when you start to think your belief system allows you to believe that you and I are different until we get to know each other. You know, our human structure is absolutely the same. We're all spiritual beings living a human experience. And a lot of times we can work together. A lot of times we can make moves that can empower us if given the same opportunity. Well, you take that same concept and you start to think about it. What's the difference between you and a wealthy person besides the cash flow, obviously? But are the strategies still good? Are they good for you? Most people believe that you have to have money to use the strategy. Financial professionals that use strategies know that the strategies work, and it doesn't take a whole lot of money. And that's where the conflict comes. When can you put your belief system aside when it's affecting your future legacy? And if you knew the impact of that decision, would you continue with that belief system? That's what the question is today. That's really what it's all about today. So, before I get into it, I want to make sure I say hello to everybody that we need to say hello to, because I think this is a conversation that's going to be a little bit more introspective. It's going to allow you to think about it a lot differently than maybe you have in the past. And hopefully it's meant to unlock your life, unlock the life of your wealth, and it's meant to build you. This conversation is meant to build you. And I want you to think on a higher vibration than what you have been thinking of when it becomes a question of spirituality and the spiritual realm versus the tangible living things that we think about. It may help you reduce your stress levels about things that really shouldn't matter, because we all have these things in common. If I could reduce your money stresses and it was a solution that the wealthy used, do you believe it will work? Because it's different than what your grandmother told you? Yes, it could be cultural. Things are passed down. Tools are passed down. Habits are passed down. And there are some things that are secret. Some of the secret sauce you have to pay for. Some of the secret sauce you have to pay for to unlock the secret of what really people are doing. Hopefully, I'm not going too far in the woods. But that's what we want to talk about today. And if you were able to unlock it, are you going to be a gatekeeper of that information? Or would you be the kind of person to go out and share it with everybody you knew? See, I happen to be empathy kind of person. I want to share with everybody. When I find out information, I want to share with everybody. When I find out information that makes me think differently than how I maybe was born, or maybe it is a more evolved conversation than where I came from, even where I came from, I'm listening. The value in listening. Oh, having 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You can learn so much. You can learn so much. And when you're around other smart people, you can't help but get smarter. And then when you get into deeper people, you can't help but become a deeper thinking individual. And what's happening? With that information, we're all evolving. We're elevating. We're prospering. And that's why we do what we do professionally. Because we want to elevate you. We want to make you see yourself where you maybe are missing the cut. Maybe we got 1 foot on the line and we need to put both feet over it. That's what I mean. So hopefully we say something today that will inspire you. So I'm going to ask you to do a couple things. I want to first thank you for just joining us. And don't forget to sound off. If you got comments that you want me to see or read on air, do me a favor. Put the words takeaways right there in the comments. Takeaways. Okay? And then put your comment down. And then let me see, what is it that you're taking away from what we're having? But before we get started, you know what time it is. We got to disrupt the algorithm, folks. I need you to smash that bell. I need you to smash the button below. Go ahead and subscribe and get locked in, because we want to share this information with other people that need to be awakened. We want to wake them up about their wealth. We want to ring that notification bell. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Why? Because we don't want you to stop getting these messages. Financial education and financial literacy is always in abundance, but it's time to impact your financial intelligence, where you can use all of these strategies and all of these tools and resources together at the same time. Not because of a belief system, because we actually know it works. And over the almost 3 decades in this industry of being one of America's top insurance professionals, it's time to get to the point. If you knew, absolutely knew, something that we're talking about today absolutely worked, and you knew by design it was intentional, would you use it? Would you use it? Put that in the comments below. Go ahead. I want to see the comments. Show me the comments. I want to know. Would you use it? Would you use it if you absolutely knew? I see it already. Good day, good day, good day. What's happening? I see it already. I'm going to give it some time and soak in. I want to hear from all of you. Would you use it? Would you use it? So guess what? I want you to think. Suppose the person you're getting your advice from were not an expert, and they shared their belief system with what you really need in your life. Maybe they came from a life of scarcity. Maybe they're a scarcity-minded person. Have you ever had a financial professional get on television and tell you what's so bad about life insurance? Maybe you've had a TV personality or one of those gurus out there that tells you what's so bad about life insurance. And then in the same conversation, for those of us with trained ears, they turn around and say, well, we use it in some legacy planning, or we have our family banking system, or we do it in some estate planning. We use it because they're wealthy. They need to stop talking out both sides of their mouth, because the average public doesn't hear it that way. And you're doing more harm than good. You're sharing your belief in a product. You're not sharing what you know about the product. And that's what the difference is when you deal with experts. And we're gonna dive in on that today, and I'm gonna dig in on it pretty deep because I've started to ask myself a question. Anytime someone asks me a question out there in public, I want to know, how do you know that? I mean, know it. And the reason that comes across, I was watching social media. Let me give you a little story before I go there. I was watching social media, and I was watching this. If you've seen it, put it into context, because this is not my own. It was something that made me stop and think myself. And I had to stop and really think about it. There was a Caribbean man and a white man having a conversation. And the Caribbean man asked the white man, "Are you a white man?" And he said, "Yes, I'm a white man." And he said, "Well, how do you know that?" And he said, "Well, my mom is white, my dad is white." He said, in the context of this conversation, it's easy for us to believe things we don't know. And it's hard for us to believe the things we do know. And it's like, well, give you an example. An Asian man walked by and he said, "Excuse me, sir, if I cut you open, what color are you on the inside?" The guy said, "I don't know." He said, "That's right." He wouldn't know because he's just walking by the conversation. He doesn't want any part of this conversation. He said, "So let me ask you, do you believe in God?" He asked the Caribbean man asked the white man, "Do you believe in God?" He said, "Yes, you believe in it." "I believe in God," he says. He says, "Well, do you know him?" He said, "I've never met him." He said, "But I believe in him." He said, "Perfect. So you just admitted that you can believe in something you've never seen." I said, "Yeah." He said, "How about your parents? Do you believe in your parents?" He said, "No, I know my parents. I don't believe in my parents." He said, "Exactly." He said, "So when you're asking us about race relations," he said, "the difference between your question and you and I is the fact that I believe that I know that we're all the same. And you believe because the color of my skin that we're different." Let that sink in. How many times have we made a decision on the surface level when actually we're all the same? If we go to a spiritual level, not the physical, tangible level, we start to realize that the air we breathe is all oxygen. The air we breathe out is carbon dioxide. It gives life to the very things that we need to live. You know, the circle of life, 360, life 360. I'm just giving a perspective because we're giving out carbon dioxide that the plants need. If you're walking outside, you can start to appreciate even the little bugs that are flying around. You know, when I'm going to walk at the park, it's amazing that every time I think about that, I see a beauty, the beauty of living, the beauty of being able to say we're all connected. You're connected to the very grass that is growing, meaning a living thing, the trees that are growing, a living thing. You can connect to the dog walking and the bugs flying and the gnats flying. You're connected. We're all breathing the same air. Did you think about that for a second? From a spiritual standpoint, guess what? Some of us believe that, in the spiritual realm, we're all atoms anyway. We're all energy. Therefore, we're inhaling and exhaling energies for those that were before us and after us, right? So when you really think about that, we're all pretty much the same. If we were to cut us open and we do some DNA tests, I think we'll find that most of us may originate from probably the same place. I mean, and there's science behind that says, hey, the first person was in Africa. But most people will say, I've never been to Africa, but I don't have a lineage to Africa. But we're the same. So that being said, I'm trying to craft our conversation today to say, at the end of this day, whether you have $1 in your pocket or you're a millionaire or a billionaire, you're still the same. Therefore, everything in between you can have if you have an abundant mindset. So protect your mind, protect your ideas, protect your spirit, protect who's around you, because that might be an opportunity for growth. And in that opportunity for growth, you may not want to be getting in your own way by putting a spell on your own life. Watch your words, watch how you speak. That's why they call it spelling. You may be controlling your own energy. So, therefore, I want everybody to put in the comments right now, I am wealthy. I am wealthy with knowledge. I am wealthy. I am deserving of all things. I am wealthy. I appreciate all living things. I am wealth. And you start to think about that every single day. Just getting up, I am wealthy, having the opportunity to just spend some time with you on this Lifestyle Focus Friday. And did I go a little bit deeper than normal? Did I? Probably so. I hope this is not going to discourage those, but guess what? I don't control who I might encourage or discourage. I'm just sharing with you some items of what the difference is between knowing and believing. So today, we're going to get into that shift of belief versus knowing, and that foundational shift. Because belief, when I'm talking about it in the insurance world, belief views life insurance as optional or reactive. You know, it's usually after a funeral that people start thinking about why they should have life insurance in their families, or the importance of it, when and truly they probably should have started thinking about it from the time they were born. Parents should have thought about it. Kids should have had it. Kids should grow up learning about it, knowing how to leverage it, and so forth and so on, because belief systems are also passed down. But when you take belief and turn it into knowing, knowledge is the position. Knowledge positions insurance as proactive, a strategic tool for legacy building. So I want to make sure that I understand, why are we not being more responsible with our understanding of this tool? Why can some people affect other people's decision that may cost them their legacy by just spewing out their belief systems that are inaccurate? That would be like taking directions going the wrong way intentionally. The man clearly said, go to the right, and you took a left. Are you guys following me out there? If you're following me out there today, put it in the chat. Oh, Ronco's on one today. Ronco is on one today. And if you're with me and you're following us, thank you for joining us once again. I promise you, we're about to get into it. But what happens when this transitioning from belief to knowledge creates financial mastery? You know, what we teach in our classes, our Lifestyle Focus Wealth community, I'm telling you, I had a great time having conversations with other elite professionals and watching elite advisors, and we're having this conversation about mastery, not surface level, not just understanding what a definition of financial literacy is or education is, meaning we have read the book or we have seen it somewhere, but how do you master it? How do we tie that in and transition to using these tools into our everyday lifestyle where that we're financing our entire lives and everything that we purchase to a point that we don't have to ask for permission, to a point where we can have dollars coming in, generational wealth being impacted without even working hard. You know, our number 2 reason today is when you take life insurance and you start to think about how the wealthy use it, life insurance is what they call a wealth engine. A wealth engine. Why do they call it a wealth engine? Because we move beyond the traditional safety net perception. It's time to stop. You're seeing videos all over the internet. You're seeing celebrities jumping on board. You're seeing pro athletes. And, you know, I saw a conversation, and if I am ever so blessed to talk to Michael Beasley, I'm going to go ahead and say it, brother. I've never heard anybody say it better than you. That if you knew what you know now about life insurance prevents the F up. If I can be so direct, it prevents the F up. To you guys that are getting your new NIL deals, the first thing we need to be talking about is creating your family bank. After you get paid, it's got to go somewhere. It's not just a safety net. It's a perception of being a safety net. We're not talking about you dying. We're talking about you living. We're talking about understanding how it acts as a tax-free vehicle for retirement. We're talking about how we use it in estate planning and how its liquidity can be used to help you buy real estate, start new businesses, pay off credit card debt, take care of student loans without asking for permission. See, the wealthy understand this. They understand it because it's strategic. We strategically use this product and tool to replace debt, to fund their trust funds, and they use it as a seed for generational wealth. Yes, I said it, a seed for generational wealth. So that I'm not talking over anyone's head, that seed just simply means this. I have a seed, I'm planting it in the ground, and I'm going to watch it grow. How much work was that? It's more work to go to the grocery store and go get a lemon than it is to put a seed in the ground and watch a lemon tree grow. Well, I can actually have more lemons if I took the time to plant the tree. All I have to do is purchase the seed, plant the tree, and keep it watered and maintain it. Are y'all following me on that today? If you're following me on that, put that in the chat. Give me some thumbs up. I want to see it. Put it in the comment, because these things are important for us to have a conversation about. I want to encourage you to take these ideas today that we're talking about. There's 5 of them. We've already went through 2. I want to make sure that these are 3 ideas that you can continue to use in your everyday life. And if you don't have it, you have to ask your question. Is RJ talking about something he believes, or is he talking about something he absolutely knows? I challenge the fact for those people who speak from a belief system when it comes to insurance. Because I can tell you now, your local bank is using it. Your favorite corporation, you're using it. The IRS code has a code for it. They're using it. Wealthy people use it to shelter money all the time. Am I saying it out of belief, or am I telling you what I know? I know it. You know, after all these years, we used to say, put money away for when times got hard, or maybe you have an emergency fund. You should have 6 months of an emergency fund put away. You remember that? Have you heard that before? If you've heard that before, put 6 months in the comments. If you've heard that before, you should have 6 months put away? Put that in the comments. I want to see. I want to see. So let me ask you a question. What happened when COVID came around? When all of New York City was empty, the city that never sleeps had no one outside. And it was working like that for almost 2.5 years. Did your emergency fund for 6 months work? I got that question for you. I'm just asking a simple question. Did your emergency funds work? If the answer to that is no, maybe it's because somebody came up with an idea that they believed that you could make it for 6 months and that your lights out moment would only last for 6 months and never ever thought about it truly being longer. But now that we've had that experience, in life, I'm sure that you will be able to tell your grandkids and your kids will tell their kids about the time New York City had no people in it, about the time they couldn't go to school and they got their degrees from the internet, about that time, that transition in time where they almost ran out of money. When they couldn't go to work, they still couldn't buy groceries. When the lights went out, were they ready? No, they were not ready. This is about lights out moments. This is about cultural generational wealth being made differently just months after one of the biggest lights out moments in American history. Why is that? Because we've lived it. We've experienced it. And you know it. A lights out moment can happen at any time. And you're probably wanting to prepare for more than just 6 months. And if you do this, you start taking care of your legacy and start planning for legacy, not product. Legacy planning, not product. You should be ahead. You should start reaching for the stars. I wish someone told me earlier in my career that $100,000 is not the ultimate goal. I wish they told me to keep pushing well beyond that. Because once I hit $100,000, I thought I was rich. And I realized very quickly that yes, you reach $100,000, but after taxes, you didn't have $100,000. And after expenses, you had even less than that. So where am I having this conversation from? Am I telling you what I believe, what happens when you hit 6 figures? Or am I telling you what happens because I lived it? What happens when you hit a 7-figure number? Guess what? That tax problem is still there and the business expenses are still there. And you're probably a little less than $1 million. Am I telling you what I know? Or am I telling you what I believe? It's true. You show me a person with a $10,000 or $10 million income, I'll show you a $10 million tax problem. I can promise you we have to provide a solution. We have to provide a solution. And that's why we're here having this conversation today. Boy, I love it. I see y'all. Y'all are active. Love you guys. Love you guys. Let's be active. 6 months. 6 months. It didn't work. So how many of you guys are still planning for 6 months of emergency funds? It didn't work. It did not work. I'm not telling you what I believe. I'm telling you what I know. It didn't work. Am I putting the structure together today? Am I putting the structure together? When I get back, we're going to talk about how reframing the cost of insurance as an investment can help you out. And I said it this way, reframing the cost as an investment. However, before I go away, life insurance is not an investment. Why? Because you don't have to pay any taxes. In the financial world, investment means you got to pay tax. Premiums, you don't. Hey, tell you what we're going to do is take a quick break, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this idea of how we can reframe the cost of insurance to make it beneficial for you to think about it in a different way when we return. Hey, join our Lifestyle Focused Wealth community. Membership's starting at $16 a month when you pay the annual subscription. So register online today at www.lifestylefocusedwealth.com. Hey, instead of seeing premiums as an expense, I want you to recognize it as a return on your legacy. That's what reframing the cost of insurance looks like. Instead of seeing it as an expense, recognize it as a return on your legacy. I mean, what you do today is what you become tomorrow. What you put in, what you are accountable for, your actions lead you exactly where you have seen yourself or beyond. See, the beautiful thing about being with experts is I can tell you about policy structuring. All policies are not the same. And then when you get the whole life policy or the insurance policy, all advisors are not the same. There's a special amount of care that needs to go into it. And you cannot overlook the value of expertise and the value of having the right solutions with the right products, not the lookalikes, but the rights. Policy structuring can do a few things. It can unlock the living benefits of insurance, and your personal advisor can talk to you about how leveraging cash value while you're alive can be so very valuable. It can be so very valuable. Give an example. I was talking to a group of real estate investors, and these real estate investors never had cash on hand because they were putting money into other financial structures that didn't allow them to touch any cash. And then they learned that you could leverage life insurance, cash value, without paying taxes on the money, which allowed them at any time they saw a product that they wanted, the product being real estate product, they could then take loans against their policy and make that purchase with just the down payment and increase their human value, their life value, their generational legacy value by simply buying more real estate. And then taking the equity from those real estate products and then re-leveraging again. See, when we have the proper design, it turns that liability into a lifestyle asset. See, the liability of real estate is really the house, meaning it could burn up, people could fall down the stairs, but what do you really want? You really want the cash out of the house. But once you get your hands on the cash, what do you do with it? What do you do with it? I'm going to go ahead and give a secret to you guys. I think one of the biggest misconceptions and beliefs of the real estate game is buying and selling, flipping houses over and over again. And if you're doing the wholesaling deal, you're buying it low and then you're selling it for a little bit of money, $10,000, $20,000. What if you had a professional that could show you why you need to leverage your time and not turn it into a job? You're buying real estate at its absolute lowest level with the absolute highest opportunity for the value to go up. Am I making sense? Well, you don't want to get away from an appreciating time. Well, everybody, it seems like we had some kind of technical difficulty, but we're still here. We're still here. So thank you guys for hanging in there with us. I don't know exactly what happened there, but hey, listen, we are still here. Thank you guys for hanging out. But we were talking about these strategies, and we want to make sure that you have some information that you could take in your everyday life and use it effectively. I want to make sure that you're able to use this effectively so that when we're out and about and you're getting things started, you can look to your left and look to your right and say, hey, I've identified. Hey, that's one of those things that Ronco talked about. That's a bank. That's a insurance company. That's part of that lifestyle focused uh, wealth building, generational wealth building that he was talking about. I want you to be able to identify these items, because if you're able to identify it, financial education and literacy becomes just a part of the game. It really becomes just part of the game, right? And our goal is just to empower you so that you can see it a little bit differently. Because if we could take away the belief, the negative connotation that life insurance has, or the idea that it's only used when we're dying, and you can truly know why the wealthy use it as a leveraging tool, as an estate builder, all these different things that we use it for, you'll probably use it more. And in using it more, you're going to talk about it. You're going to talk about it to your family. You're going to talk about it to your friends. You're going to tell them better ways or more efficient ways of making these decisions flow. And really, that's all it's all about, is sharing it. And one of the things I love about sharing, something I learn as I learn it, or go through it, or meet someone that has a knowing of it, it makes it very easy for me to have a conversation with you. Why? Because I don't have to think about it. I don't need a teleprompter. I can think about it on the run. You can call me at 3 o'clock in the morning and I can be dead asleep. I'm not advising you to do that. But if I had to get up and wake up and answer that question, your answer would still be the same. It wouldn't change. Why? Because it's a knowing. It's not a belief. It's a knowing. And that knowing allows me to make moves that other people may not have the confidence to make. And that's a strategic word, having the confidence to make the move. Because a lot of times, sometimes the reasons why we don't make a move is because we're stuck in fear or scarcity mindset. And we've been talking about that. Well, how can I move in an abundant mindset when I absolutely know God's got me? When I absolutely know that I create my legacy, when I absolutely know I get out of it what I put into it, what is there to be intimidated about? What is there to be intimidated about? Nothing. There shouldn't be anything to intimidate you. Why? Because you're worthy. You're worthy. I'm hopeful that I'm touching on something that's getting you to think a little bit differently. But before we were interrupted, we were talking about how we reframe the cost of the insurance. And you start to see it as a return on your legacy. Because when we structure it, it's very simple. It unlocks your living benefits. We can unlock your living benefits. We can talk about leveraging the cash while you're alive. And when you have the proper design, it turns your liability into a lifestyle asset. It allows you to take that trip. It allows you to buy little Johnny or Susie her car on her 16th birthday. It allows you to take your retirement plans and extract the taxes from it and grow it in a tax-efficient vehicle that you control. See, when we're evaluating and we're talking about evaluating and elevating to financial intelligence, I'm really challenging communities to get involved. I'm really challenging communities to get involved. Why? Because there's so many people who feel like they can't, their experiences don't move communities. Guess what? That would be your belief system. Do you know that to be factual? Many times, a movement is started by one person. One person's vision can get it started. And on top of it, their knowing adds all the credibility it needs. It empowers listeners to decode financial tools from its emotional situation to a cultural lens. So you start to look at it totally different. Some people will say Black and brown communities don't believe in life insurance. This is not true. That is not true. The proper offer of strategy hasn't been offered as much as possible. The offering of strategic planning hasn't been offered. Therefore, some of the information that you receive may not seem like a construct you want to be a part of because you're not having the conversation about legacy. When you're having a conversation about product, usually the conversation stops short when it comes to cost. But when you start to see this thing as life insurance isn't just about it isn't just a technical term that we use. It's personal. It's generational. And if it's done properly, it's transformational. So having this knowledge is contagious. I want to infect everybody within the sound of my voice today. And there's nothing that's going to happen in this world to keep me from telling you that one informed household can shift the entire neighborhood. And that's what we're here to do, is we're here to give you all the tools that you need to make that shift in your family, in your friends, in your business, your mentality, and your lifestyle. Make that shift today. I'm not telling you what I believe. I'm telling you what I know. And that's a difference. I can speak from a level of confidence that I know that if you're sitting down and you're having this conversation and it makes sense and it resonates with your soul, it's for you. And then if you have additional questions where you might not quite understand, RJ, I just need a couple more details before I can honestly put that into action. Sure, ask the question. Be a part of our mastermind. Be a part of our lifestyle focused wealth community. Ask the question of experts. Surround yourself around people who are already doing that action. That way you can actually say, I've been in a room where I've seen people buy houses for a little bit of nothing. And I've seen them use the equity in those homes to fund their lifestyle, to purchase life insurance. I've seen people take policy loans to create businesses that generate revenue, and revenue comes back to their businesses. I've seen that. I know the difference between a widow with and a widow without. I know the difference of that. See, legacy building is always intentional. It's always been intentional. You need to understand that this doesn't happen by mistake. Someone had to sit down and plan that. So if legacy building is an intentional act, what's setting you back from taking action? Like Michael Beasley said, life insurance takes care of the F up. And if you're thinking about it intentionally, you want to make sure that in the future, you don't make a decision that can mess up your entire legacy. Life insurance becomes a part of a deliberate value-based wealth strategy that we all use. And once you start to use it effectively, that value proposition gets higher and higher and higher. It supports intergenerational planning. And guess what? When we get to the planning side of it, it's when the fun starts. Because it's not the product, it's the planning. Why? Because we're talking about family banks. We're talking about trust. We're talking about protected accounts. See, you're not just buying a policy, you're designing your legacy. And that's why we call you a legacy architect. If this information has been helpful to you today, just for you, understanding the difference between believing and knowing. If it's been helpful for you, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to our channel and be a part of our Lifestyle Focused Wealth community. Or send me an email. If you want a one-on-one, go to roncojohnson.com. And hey, let's have a one-on-one. Let's get focused. Let's talk about customizing your plan right now. Let's talk about it. Let's create the roadmap. I got the blueprint. And we want to share it with you, your family, your friends, your business. Be a part of the movement. Don't just talk about it, be about it. Hey, that's my time today. I'm Ronco Johnson, your Lifestyle Focused Wealth Coach. Thank you for joining us today, and I will see you next time, every Friday, 1 o'clock, right here, going towards, and hopefully I'll see you at the top. God bless. Have a blessed weekend, and be well. See you soon.